Hello, I'm Mary Ann. Welcome back to Live Life Well. Today we're going to stand on the sidelines while you look in on a conversation about suicide awareness between a teacher and a school counselor. Take a look.
Hi, Mr. Johnston. Thank you so much for meeting with me.
Hey there, Miss Ponder. It's no problem at all. How can I help?
Well, you know about the young man that recently took his own life in our gymnasium after an assembly. About half the student body was present and witnessed it happen. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And while we have brought in some counselors for the students to have the option to talk with someone, I would really like to know what we as teachers can do to help get ahead of the issue and talk to the kids about how to handle those kinds of feelings.
Yeah, that's a tough thing to coach the other kids through. I commend you for reaching out for help. And I love the fact that the school has already brought in grief counselors to help navigate kids through a variety of feelings that they may be feeling and experiencing at this time. As far as talking to the students as a whole, I'd keep the group settings more educational on the things like warning signs. A few points to focus on could be noticing someone talking about feeling a lot of guilt or shame or being a burden to their family and friends. Talk about seeing any changes in behavior like giving away personal belongings, experiencing extreme mood swings, taking big risks that could be dangerous, or starting to use or increase in the use of drugs or alcohol. Also, notice if the person is feeling hopeless, extremely sad or anxious, or really angry, or maybe they are in an emotional or physical pain. Experiencing any number of these could be warning signs that someone may be considering suicide or having fleeting suicidal thoughts.
Okay, that's a great place to start. I like the idea of doing an educational group to make everyone feel more comfortable. What if I identify someone who is experiencing these feelings?
It's important to make sure this conversation with the individual experiencing these symptoms happens in private. And these things I'm about to mention could even be incorporated into your educational group so that the other students know how to talk to their friends or family members about suicide. So be sure to have this one-on-one conversation with the person you're concerned about in private. Always listen to their story. Anything they are telling you could be the first time they have had the opportunity to vocalize those feelings. Also, it's extremely important to be calm, but direct with that person to whom you are speaking. If I had a client in front of me that has mentioned suicidal thoughts or has been portraying any of the warning signs we talked about, I would ask, have you had any thoughts about killing yourself? Or have you wished you could go to sleep and not wake up?
Won't asking them like that just make it worse?
That's a common misconception. The more direct you are in this kind of a situation, the more helpful you're being. If I asked a client, you haven't been thinking about dying, have you? I've done two things. I have generalized taking or ending your life down to dying. In this instance, we need to be specific. I have also planted the stigma of suicide into the question I'm asking. The individual would not likely want to tell a person asking this question that he had been experiencing suicidal thoughts for fear of judgment.
Oh, I see what you mean there.
So be direct and never promise that you won't tell anyone. You always want to notify emergency responders if you encounter someone wanting to carry out their plan of harming themselves or taking their life.
Oh, what else?
If the person has had any thoughts of killing themselves, take them seriously. Ask, have you thought through the details of how you would end your life? I would first make sure they are kept away from any lethal means of taking their life, especially if they have already worked out the details. Think of things like firearms, knives, anything sharp, ropes, drugs, or any other medications. Regardless of their answer, empathize with the person and remind them that their suffering is temporary and it won't last forever. Stay with them. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is a wonderful resource, not only for individuals experiencing suicidal thoughts, but also for their support people, like you, friends, or family. Like many students these days, if the person doesn't like talking on the phone, they can text talk to 741-741. This will let them speak directly with a crisis counselor 24/7, and that counselor can help as well. If a person says they are considering suicide, escort them to a mental health facility or the nearest emergency room.
This seems kind of overwhelming, but I understand why it's important to structure the questions this way.
This can be nerve-wracking at first, but it gets easier the more you practice. In fact, you may consider having the students role-play different scenarios in their education group. It will help them become more comfortable talking about it as well.
That's a wonderful idea. Thank you so much for your help.
Never turn the person away. Talk to them. Encourage them to verbalize their thoughts. Seek professional help. Their lives are worth your efforts. For more information about the risk of suicide, check out the great resources noted at the end of this video.
As always, Cahaba Valley Oaks Lodge, in partnership with Central Alabama Wellness, is providing you this information to help you to live life well.